Oh, hello there. Kind of caught me off guard. Welcome to another exciting episode of Knife Chats with Tobias. Well, it would appear that the Remington Camp knives that were made by Camillus back in the 1990s are showing up on eBay again. I've gotten emails from several people asking me, "Hey, are you familiar with the Remington camp knives? Specifically, the big one now is the, in many ways, is the Jumbo camp knife by Remington." And yes, I am familiar with them. It seems like they end up showing up on eBay in a new old stock about every 2 or 3 years, and they worth the price that people are asking for them? I would say if they're asking in that $50 to $70 range, I would say yes, they're definitely worth it. If they're looking at it in that $120 range, for the most part, no, they are not worth it unless it's one of the bullet knives that actually has a sterling silver bullet in the shield. And that's a different story. Those are very limited production. And I believe they were through Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Okay, I haven't picked up all of them, and I probably will not. But I do have 3 of them. The first one I picked up was several years ago, and that's the R4 utility knife. And I think this one came out sometime originally like in 1996 or something. And at that time, several of the knives were issued at the same time. Again, these were originally put out. The knives were originally put out by Remington when it was a knife company back in the 1920s and 30s. And then Remington, the company, licensed the production of these knives through Camillus in the 1990s. And according to Remington, they were replicas, but I usually just say that they were the Camillus-made Remingtons because they are not replicas of the ones made in the 1920s and 30s. First of all of these knives will have a brown Delrin handle, a jigged brown Delrin handle. And the knives that were made back in the 20s and 30s either had stag or bone handles. Different ones had different handle materials depending on the year that they were made. And also, some of these have different blades than the original knives had. For instance, this can opener on the R4, this would not have been the can opener that was on the original R4. And I'm not sure if the knives also had those same numbers attached to them when they were first issued. The good thing about the R4, though, is it gives you a little slideshow of all the other knives that came out in the series. The first one is the Upland, which is a little bird hunting knife. And this little device here that you see right there, that is a choke tool for your shotgun. And then the next one is the waterfowl knife, again with the choke tool for the shotgun, and a small serrated sheepfoot blade. Then you've got your skinning blade, and I'm not sure what that blade is on there. I don't have the knife. I'm not planning on picking it up. I might, I don't know. And then you have the big game double lockback with 2 locking blades. One of these is a bone saw and looks like maybe a gut hook or something. And then your typical skinning blade. And the R4, which I have here in front of me. And then the R5, which is the gentleman's knife up there. And the R6, which was a fixed blade hunting knife. And if you notice, the top of it is serrated there for probably to act as a bone saw. And then they have on the other side instructions on how to skin different animals and stuff, and also how to use your choke tool for your front sight and screw choke, and let's see, choke tool applications for a tube cap, magazine retainer, and rear sight screws. Never used it, so, and I don't have it, so I don't really know. And I don't own a shotgun. One of these days maybe, but I don't own a shotgun right now. But that came with all of the knives in the original series. Now, the R4 here, the first one I got, is a pretty cool knife. I do like it. You notice it is not a thin knife. You got 3 very thick back springs with 1, 2, 3, 4 very thick brass liners going on. And again, you've got your nickel silver bolsters, the brown jig Delrin handle, the Remington UMC shield going on, and then the blades. Now, the very first blade is a saw, and this is a bone saw. I guess you could also use it for a wood saw, but really this is designed for cutting through bone and everything. All of these knives were really designed for processing animals and such. And so you've got your bone saw here as the front blade, and then you've got your standard scout blade as the main blade on the knife. There you have the Made in USA Remington UMC. Did the first blade have it? No. And then the blades you have in the back side here are a sheepfoot blade, and then your can opener, and your cap lifter screwdriver. So those are all the blades that show up on the R4. And again, like I said, this was made sometime between 1996 and 1998, I believe. So that's the first one I got, the R4. And then the next one I picked up around, well, within months of getting that one, is right here, the R4243. Now this one is called the Trail Hand, and it's very much like the Boker out there, the 6-tool Boker knife that is still around. Once again, you see the brown jig Delrin handles, very thick brass liners, and on the back side you have two tools. You've got a pretty nice looking reamer here, and it's pretty well made and solid, and you notice that nice round curve on there, and it does work fairly well. And then the corkscrew, which is pretty long, and yeah, it just locks there, but you can get your hand on there and open a bottle of wine with it if you need to. And then your typical tools that you have, the small clip blade basically has the same tools that you find on a Spartan, Swiss Army Spartan. You got a clip blade here, the main Spearmaster blade, and then your cap lifter screwdriver, and an old style can opener. And this can opener is not exactly like the one that you would have found on the older Remington. The older Remington would have had, I believe, a 2-piece can opener and a little bit more of a jaw here, so you could get the can in there a little bit better. So it is an old style can opener, but it is not an exact copy of the one that was originally on the Remington from the 1920s and 30s. So this is the one known as a Trail Hand, and it's a pretty good knife. And I like the fact that the somebody's bugging me. She's telling me to cut it short. Anyway, I like the fact that the clevis is up here on the top, so that when you got the main blade open, it's out of the way. And when you close the main blade, you don't have to worry about it closing on the clevis. We apologize for this brief interruption at Knife Chats at Tobias, as we have to pause to give our production staff some treats. Okay, she got a treat, so now she'll leave me alone for a bit, and we'll talk about the last one here, which is the R4243, and that is the Jumbo camp knife with the bullet shield on it. And this thing is a monster-sized knife. And a lot of people are talking about that size. It's about 4 and 7/8 inches long, closed, and you have a very, very big. Also, I always try to grab it up here, but actually it has a very long pull, and it's down here, a long pull clip blade with a saber grind going on, and then on the back side here, you have one of the longest punch blades I have ever seen on a knife. Let's compare that to the punch blade Well, let's compare it to the punch blade on a regular Boy Scout knife. So here we have a 3 5/8 inch long camp knife by Camillus. See right there, Camillus. Do I have the pattern number? Yeah, this is the 99. They've got a couple different ones, but this is the 99. That's probably the most common that you'll find. And if you see here, the punch on there is what, maybe 1 5/8 of an inches long, compared to well, the Remington goes out to 3 inches, so almost double the length that you find on your standard 3 5/8 inch camp knife. Notice the difference there. Much bigger, and it's got a really good point on there. It's got a good edge too, so you could definitely do some reaming with it. You could actually use it almost as a regular pokey knife too. Well, let's just look at the size difference here too. 3 5/8 inches versus 4 7/8 of an inch. You can see these two knives, even though they pretty much have the same blades in them. Well, this one has a can opener. This one has a sheep foot blade in place of the can opener. And this has a much larger screwdriver and cap lifter than what you see on here, even though this has a long screwdriver cap lifter. So everything is just embiggened on this knife, and that's why so many people call it the Jumbo camp knife, because, well, it is a Jumbo camp knife. But officially, Remington just called it the right there, the 4243. The paperwork on here calls it the camp bullet knife. That's what they call it, the camp bullet knife. And so there you have it. Those are the ones that I have. I have the camp bullet knife, the R4, and then the Trailmaster. And the Trailmaster is the 3843. And obviously right there is just your standard Camillus camp knife. Now these are typically going for somewhere between $50 and $70. I think these are running right at $65 right now. And to be honest with you, that's a fair price. I don't think I'd be going much higher than $70 on them though. Eventually they will go over $70, so it really comes down to how much you want the knife and how scarce they're getting. But they are fairly common at the moment. They continuously show back up every year or so as new old stock Remington knives. And yeah, I definitely think they are worth the price that you would be paying if you're paying in that $70 range. Because, well, if a USA made company like Case was to come out with this knife right now, it would probably be selling for well into $90, $100 in the same kind of material. So there you have it. In any case, stick around for some slides. I gotta go take care of the cat again. She's very picky tonight. Yee doggy, I told you it was going to be a fun one. Sure hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a comment and give it that big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell, and go out there and tell your friends there's another episode just around the corner. Thanks a lot for visiting. Really appreciate you being here. Talk to you again soon.